Good afternoon, and welcome to today's meeting of the Rotary Club of Tulsa. February is Rotary International's month focused on peace building and conflict prevention, and we're honored today to have a diplomat with us to speak and to help us understand the role that she does in Oklahoma. I've heard her speak before, and we're in for a terrific and dynamic program. Let's start today with invocation and pledge from past President Tiffany Egdorf, and guest introductions from John Howland.
Please pray with me. Caring God, we join together today to thank you for the life we are living and the continued will to look for the beauty in life, in people, in nature, and in ourselves, to accept others without judgment, realizing that everyone is unique and being different is a blessing. To learn, opening our minds to new ideas and activities, and having the courage to try. To dream and make plans, believing in ourselves and the impact we can have in this world. And to appreciate the people and relationships that enrich us on our journey. Watch over our leaders and our first responders, providing guidance and patience so they may get through each day as their best selves. Grant us grace, love, and courage so that we may be a light to others in our community. Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Please excuse this retired Rotarian for being overly casual. I forgot I had guest introductions today. So I'd like to have you work with me in welcoming the guests that we have today. We also have a couple visiting Rotarians. On the guests, when I call on your name, if you would rise with your host and stay standing, we'll wait until all the guests have been introduced and then give them a warm welcome at that point in time. First guest is Silas Bates, and Silas is a guest of our speaker today. Silas. Next is Octavio Diaz, again a guest of our speaker. Third guest is Anna Mattia, and she is a guest of our member Allison Anthony. And Anna is with the Tulsa Area United Way. Nick Kendall, he is with the Tulsa Area United Way as well, also a guest of Allison Anthony. And no one's rising. I hope people are here. If you'd stand up when you introduce. Okay, this one's an easy one for me. My guest is Dr. Judith Blackwell. She is in front. Kevin Metcalf, the Oklahoma Attorney General's Office, hosted by our member Eric Cullen. The next is Gail Butler, and Gail is an artist. She's here with host Karen Keith. Next is Bethany Wilson. She is a guest of Kathy and Ben Gorell. Next, Carolyn Vincent, hosted by her father, Carl Vincent. And that's the group of guests we have. If you would, please give them your applause. And we have one visiting Rotarian, Steve Barnes from Broken Arrow. Thank you.
Thank you, John, and welcome to all of our guests and visitors today. It is with profound sadness that we must share the passing of two fellow Rotarians, Terry Heritage and Dr. Robert Shepler. Bob passed away peacefully, surrounded by his family, after a long and courageous battle with Parkinson's disease. A beloved and respected family physician, Bob touched countless lives with his kindness, compassion, and dedication to service. He also served as club president from 1990 to 1991, leaving a lasting impact on our Rotary family. His celebration of life will be held at Asbury Church in Tulsa on February 15th at 1 p.m. Terry will be remembered for her kindness, generosity, and unwavering dedication. Her passion for helping others truly embodied the spirit of Rotary. Her memory will forever live on in the hearts of her Rotary friends and all who had the privilege of knowing her. I personally knew Terry when I joined the club and became chair of the Celia Clinton Committee. Terry Heritage loved the school and always offered her support. A celebration of life is being planned and will be announced soon. Please keep both families in your thoughts and in your prayers. Special thank you today to Brian Jackson with Junior Achievement for hosting our 5th Wednesday Service Above Self Day, and to all of our volunteers who attended. It was a well-attended event, and I believe the mayor of the day at Junior Achievement was the daughter of Kiden Creek Palm, so it was a fun and festive day of service. Thank you also to Rotarians who graciously hosted Rotary Youth Exchange students from across the central United States. By opening your homes and sharing your time, you played an essential role in fostering cultural exchange, global understanding, and international friendships. Turning to polio. During the 1940s and 1950s, the Infantile Paralysis Center at Tuskegee University in Alabama served as a beacon for hope for Black Americans affected by polio. At a time when segregation denied Black patients access to proper medical care, this was the only facility in the United States dedicated exclusively to their treatment. Staffed entirely by Black healthcare professionals, the center not only provided life-saving care and rehabilitation, but also advanced medical training and research within the Black community. Its impact extended beyond medicine, standing as a testament to the resilience, skill, and dedication of Black medical pioneers who overcame systemic barriers to serve those in need. And with Rotary International's focus on polio eradication, any sort of milestone along those lines is something that we cherish. Now, please turn your attention to the screens for a short video.
I was completely paralyzed at age 2. It was 1949 in the segregated South, and people like me didn't receive adequate health care from white hospitals. We were usually seen in the basements, if we were seen at all. Luckily, my mother took me to the Infantile Paralysis Center at John A. Andrew Memorial Hospital on Tuskegee Institute's college campus. It was one of the only places where Black polio patients like me could receive care. And it wasn't just satisfactory care, no, we were treated with dignity. The halls bustled with Black nurses, with treatment provided by Black doctors. We ate warm and hearty meals, slept in soft beds, and swam in a treatment pool. Luxuries many people couldn't afford back then. I spent the better part of a decade being treated there, and thanks to my caretakers, I now walk the halls of an historic courthouse in Montgomery, Alabama, a courthouse that played a significant role in the Civil Rights Movement. Both the Infantile Paralysis Center and this courthouse have taught me that all people should be treated with dignity and respect. My name is Myron Thompson. I am a United States District Judge, and I am a polio survivor.
My name is Rachel Cargill. I'm an activist, author, entrepreneur, and public speaker. I'm here at the Legacy Museum at Tuskegee University, which was the site of a crucial health facility that provided top-notch care to Black patients with polio in the 1940s and 50s. I'm here because the subject is personal for me. See, my mother was a polio survivor and needed crutches most of her life, although it never stopped her. So I'm meeting with Cynthia Wilson to learn more about Tuskegee's polio efforts. I'd love to know, what was here prior?
This facility from 1940 till 1958 housed the Infantile Paralysis Hospital. It was the only facility of its type that was for Negroes with polio, serviced by Negro physicians and nurses. So this facility was open in part because there was no adequate facility to address the health needs of Blacks in this community. There were beds for the patients, there was therapy, there was a pool, there was an iron lung.
This history is the foundation of a future without polio, a future Rotary is fighting for. This happened a long time ago. Why is it still relevant?
As an African American, that's critical for young people to see that, the world to see this. See the love in terms of being cared for, the courage that it took for the healthcare workers, the doctors, the physical therapists and nurses, and the courage for the patient. It took love to make things move forward.
Incredible strides have been made since the Infantile Paralysis Center. Through massive vaccination efforts, wild polio has been eradicated in all but 2 countries.
We got 2 more countries, Pakistan and Afghanistan. We got to finish it.
Polio eradication is a big goal, and we know that it's only possible if everyone has access to vaccines and equitable health care. The Legacy Museum at Tuskegee University reminds us that we've done that work in the past and we must continue.
We recognize these powerful stories as Rotary International continues its quest to completely eradicate polio from this planet. And now a side mic announcement from Brian Jackson.
Well, good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Yes, we're excited. We are excited, aren't we, Sheree? Oh, very excited. Yes, we're excited, that's right. Because what? Because kids, that's right. So let me just say thank you first for last week. We had a record turnout. 35 Rotarians came out to Junior Achievement last week. So let's give a round of applause. That's wonderful. That's right. Now we are officially trained for our adopted day for Celia Clinton, our adopted school, right? We'll have adults. Yes, I'm using that generously. Adults in every classroom, that's right. We'll have adults in every one of the classrooms from kindergarten through 4th grade. That'll take 17 volunteers to make it possible. Then this is our 3rd year in a row to have a successful day. Now, a little information on the screen there. So that's what it's going to look like. Now, there's a motivating factor here. Food is involved. That's right. Tiamos, Medi himself, will cater the event. So let's get down to the brass tacks here, right? We need 7 more volunteers because the kids are counting on us at Celia Clinton. Because I want to make sure we have 100% success, that we have truly a volunteer in every one of those classrooms from kindergarten through 4th grade. You're asking yourself, well, what about 5th grade? Well, that's already been taken care of. They actually came out for the first time to J.A. Biztown 2 weeks ago. So that's exciting. Now, let me compliment the volunteers that have stepped forward, all right, in true Rotary fashion, good leadership. Jerry Stamper, Austin Connors, Dino Teague, Lisa Morgan, she's a fellow Rotarian from Southside. Sheree Gardner, hey, I know her. Medi's going to be there. Hey, Brian, I'll be there, 2nd grade. Cody Burrows, Lynette, she's a community volunteer. Emily Tucker, she's with the Sand Springs Rotary. John Croissant, a board member for Tulsa Public Schools. And we'll have 2 from IBC Bank. So where are we missing? We're missing 3 volunteers for 1st grade. Oh, they're cute. Come on now. The 1st graders. And we need 4 volunteers for 3rd grade. All right? Now, I know, so we're going to really figure out the question, are we truly smarter than an elementary student? All right? And we'll see. We'll see. I believe in this club. So, we're going to do this in old-fashioned Sarge Elvis style, okay? We need 7. And I believe in this club. I do believe in it. And I'm going to get you energized, all right? So, here we go. Now, if we say Celia, can the audience say Clinton? Oh, see, this is good. I believe in them, all right? Are you ready? Come on. Here we go. Celia.
Clinton.
Celia.
Clinton.
Celia.
Clinton.
Oh, do you hear that, President? I'm telling you. All right. So we need 7. Now, I want hands to go up. Next Thursday is our day. The day will start at 8 o'clock, and we'll finish at 2. All right?
It goes by fast.
Thank you. It does. And it's because kids. That's right. So we need 3. Let's take care of the 3 first grades first. So who can do it? Who can be in those 1st grade classes at Celia Clinton? Because we want to make sure they don't go underserved. Now, be thinking of that. and please see me after the meeting. And then for the four third grade classes, we need you. There's 17 classes total, and we still have 7 more that we've got to do. But I believe in this club, and I appreciate you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Having done this for a couple of years now, I can assure you, you will learn as much from those kids as they'll learn from you. Now it's Sarge time. Sarge Barker.
Heyo, it's Sarge Barker, aka Derek Frazier, here for another session of The Price is Rotary. Thank you all. You are a beautiful audience. I want to be very honest with you. I don't know which direction this wig is supposed to go on, but I'm having fun. So let's get started and take a look at our potential contestants. Oh, Ed. Ed, can you stand up for me real quick? Now, I just want to share that Ed was such a good sport, because if you know Ed, you know that he is a true OU fan. Is that correct? Are you wearing your OU jacket right now too, by any chance? Okay, no. But you can just tell, look at this complete look of resignation on his face. It was tough for him, wasn't it? But it was for charity, right, Ed? Sure. It was for charity. $250 went back to the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation. So can we just give Ed a big hand for... He had to swallow his dignity, but we made it work. Now, in the spirit of charity, can we make his hat bigger? If you would like to pay a Rotary fine, I will make his hat 3 times bigger in Photoshop, and I may add some OSU gear too to this picture. So please message me later if you're interested. We can make it bigger. We can make him even a bigger OSU fan, right, Ed? Oh, that's great. Yeah. He may regret those words. All right. And Barney, can you stand up for me real quick? Hey, Barney, we just want to give him a hand. He was actually the winner of the Andrea Bocelli tickets. Unfortunately, he does have a schedule conflict and will not be able to use the tickets. And rather than putting them out on eBay, he wanted to donate them back to the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation. So that means that starting next week, we will be making an announcement that the tickets will be up for auction, and any of you could be possible winners. So stay tuned. And thank you again, Barney, for that contribution. All right, DJ, are you here today? DJ. All right, hey, happy birthday, DJ. Could you stand up? Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much. Dell, are you in the house today as well? Dell? Oh, hey, Dell. Hey, thank you so much. Happy birthday. And Hannibal Johnson. Hannibal, are you here with us as well? All right. He was. Oh, he knew we were going to announce his birthday, and he took off. All right, well, let's give Hannibal a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Hannibal. Jan, are you here as well? $66 to celebrate Route 66 and a happy birthday. Let's give her a hand. Karen McCannell, $100 fine for Camp Enterprise. Karen, are you here with us today as well? Thank you so much, Karen. We do appreciate it. Alan Whalen, oh my goodness, look at that. Look at those cheeks. $100 fine. New grandson born December 18th, Ellington Allen Wayland. So cute. Hey, thank you, Alan. We appreciate that. Rob Berry, oh, $130 birthday fine. 69 years living on this planet, 47 years of marriage, and 14 years of Rotary service. Thank you so much, Rob. That's fantastic. If you want to stand up, you can too. There we go. Hey. I'm just applauding for 47 years of marriage. That's applaud-worthy. All right, Kaiden. Oh, and look, Mayor Zella, he couldn't make it on JA Day, but look, his daughter could, and she was mayor for the day. That is so cool. Kaiden, could you just stand up for us and wave to everyone? Thank you so much. All right, now, as you know, we have a lot of contestants for next week's high-low game as we play The Price is Rotary. So everyone who pays a fine or makes a contribution back to the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation can become a potential contestant for next week's Price's Rotary game. So if you're interested in paying a fine or you just like to see Ed Monet's hat bigger, let me know. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarge. Now to introduce our honored guest will be Rotarian of the Day, Dylan Harden. Dylan has been a member of our club for 2 years, and in that time has been one of our most active members. He served in leadership roles for Wine, Cheese, and Chocolate, Golden Circle Gala, Camp Enterprise, Young Professionals, and social events. He's also active outside of Rotary as Vice Next Chair for the Tulsa Area United Way. Dylan is an Oklahoma State grad, go Pokes, where he was Vice President of Recruitment and served 2 years as President of Sigma Phi Epsilon Fraternity. He graduated in 2020 with a finance and accounting degree, and since then, Dylan has worked as a relationship manager in commercial banking with Bank of Oklahoma. Welcome, Rotarian of the Day, Dylan Harden.
Thank you, Daniel. I have the pleasure of introducing Consul Pineda today. She is the Mexican consulate in Oklahoma City, is a Mexican diplomat with 25-year career in a specialization in consulate affairs. Her academic background includes a BA in economics and a master's in diplomatic studies. She has been appointed to the Consulates General of Mexico in Chicago, Atlanta, and Dallas, where she coordinated every area of the consular spectrum and was Deputy Consul General for 10 years. In the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Mexico, Consul Pineda has worked in directive roles as Director of Economic and Community Affairs and Deputy General Director for Consular Services. In October 2022, Consul Pineda was appointed by the Government of Mexico as Head Consul of the new Consulate of Mexico in Oklahoma City. On December 1st, 2022, she officially began her post as Consul of Mexico in Oklahoma City. Please welcome her.
Hello. Oh, it is an honor to speak today in front of this distinguished group. I appreciate the opportunity and the kind invitation from Daniel Gomez. Tulsa is a city that has surprised me ever since I arrived in Oklahoma because of the charm, the resources and potential it exhibits, and the balanced nature of its society. On a personal note, I would like to share that my parents were Rotarians in Mexico City for 30 years. I witnessed firsthand what a positive organization this is and fondly remember the fun times they had with their Rotarian friends while helping others and learning from these meaningful activities. Therefore, presenting before you today holds a special significance for me. As Mr. Harden kindly introduced, I am the Consul of Mexico in Oklahoma. I moved here on December 2022 from Dallas to begin the process of opening this consulate, which started its operations on May 2023. We are the 52nd Mexican consulate in a network of 53 consular offices in the US, forming the largest consular network that one country has in another. This responds to the historically strong migratory flows of Mexican workers due to the demand of the US labor market, who have settled here over generations and today number around 40 million people as an ethnic group. In the particular case of Oklahoma, there are about 400,000 people of Mexican origin, out of which around 63,000 lack regular documentation. This migration is also reflected in Mexico, where about 1.7 million US citizens reside today. This population previously consisted of retirees and minors born in the US who returned to Mexico with their parents, about 500,000. But today a third group has been incorporated, US professionals who telework and choose Mexican cities as their new home. To the population of Mexican origin in Oklahoma, we provide more than 50 services regardless of their immigration status. which include documentation assistance, legal advice, preventive health programs, financial education, general education, scholarships, and even direct financial support in emergencies. We also assist many dual citizens seeking their Mexican birth registration, as well as U.S. citizens planning to move to Mexico temporarily or permanently and requiring a visa from us. The services we offer complement those provided by government agencies in the U.S., giving essential support and resources to help our community contribute to and integrate into the societies in which they live. We are also a valuable ally and resource for law enforcement agencies, supporting their efforts for the benefit of the communities we serve. We can assist in identifying individuals of Mexican nationality, support their relatives, especially in the case of minor children, follow up on property matters, and even sponsor legal representation in cases we consider sensitive. Beyond these services, the consulate actively promotes stronger relations between Mexico and Oklahoma and fosters greater mutual understanding. In this regard, I would like to focus my presentation today on the challenges that the bilateral relationship has faced in recent years, which have become increasingly evident. Please note that the opinions I will share with you today do not in any way represent an official position of my government. Rather, they are candid perspectives from a Mexican woman who admires and respects the U.S. It is important to remember that Mexico has been a loyal and highly relevant ally to the U.S. throughout modern history, a reality that unfortunately is often overlooked by the media in the U.S. This lack of recognition contributes to a somewhat negative perception of Mexico among the American public. However, the perception of Mexicans toward the U.S. is quite the opposite, as it remains largely positive. Concerningly, it has become increasingly common to hear U.S. leaders speak about Mexico in a highly negative manner. I would like to share with you a recent statement made in the Senate that exemplifies this perspective.
If somebody comes, let's say they come from a country that they don't want to accept the individual back, but they get into Mexico, and then they come to the United States. Why shouldn't that be Mexico's problem? Why shouldn't we just say, you're the one who let them into your country? I mean, why? Well, I mean, I don't get why it's our problem. It's their problem. If you don't want to do it, Senator. I mean, I've raised their tariffs until they do it. I mean, they're the ones that open their border, right, to allow them into the United States.
I would say one of the mistakes people make is to think of Mexico as an ally. Mexico is not an ally to the United States. It is a neighbor, and we want to get along with our neighbors. But not all neighbors are allies.
Well, I have heard many criticisms to Mexico from U.S. officials, but I was genuinely surprised to hear someone claim that Mexico is not an ally of the U.S., but merely a neighbor. This made me wonder, who then is considered an ally? What does it truly mean to be an ally of the U.S.? Does it require being servile, ignoring one's own national interests to serve those of another? Under this definition, does an ally even have the right to its own priorities? Of course, I know that the majority of the American public does not share this view. I believe most Americans recognize that Mexico has been a strong ally of their country. However, such rhetoric concerns me, and I hope this line of thinking does not become more widespread. In this context, I would like to share some key arguments that reinforce why I am convinced Mexico has been and continues to be a strong ally of the U.S. For instance, Mexico has been the U.S. main trading partner since 2019. This relationship has developed gradually since the implementation of NAFTA in 1994, a trade agreement that has significantly benefited all three North American countries. More importantly, it has strengthened commercial integration and regional production chains, enhancing the region's competitiveness in the global economy. This strong commercial relationship could be harmed if a tariff war were to occur within the North American region. Undoubtedly, in the short term, a trade war would have a greater impact on the Mexican economy than that on the US, as Mexico has a much smaller economy and is highly dependent on its economic and commercial interaction with the US. However, Mexico is a young country with well-established manufacturing supply chains and a geographical position that would allow it to expand trade with Asia, Europe, and South America. Additionally, Mexico has a strong democracy and broad popular support for our president to take the necessary measures to move forward. On the other hand, the medium and long-term effects would be much broader and could eventually have a significant impact on the US as well. For example, the current threat of tariffs within the framework of a regional trade agreement that was negotiated and approved by all 3 North American countries sends a strong message not only to Mexico and Canada, but also to the rest of the world about the reliability of the US as a trade partner. This could contribute to US isolationism, a significant expansion of global trade beyond its influence, and the potential weakening of the dollar as the dominant global exchange currency. If the US dollar were to lose its status as the world's primary currency, the national debt could spiral out of control. Contrary to what many Americans perceive, Mexico is an economy that has experienced sustainable growth over the past decades. Mexico stands as a significant player in the global economy, ranking among the world's largest economies. According to the World Bank, Mexico is among the 15th largest economies globally and the 2nd largest in Latin America. Mexico's labor force is notably younger than that of the US. As of 2024, the average age in Mexico was 29.3 years compared to 38.3 in the US. A comparatively younger labor force, which can have significant implications for economic productivity and labor market dynamics. Additionally, Mexico has made significant progress in reducing poverty among its population. Rather than relying solely on free market policies and expecting them to solve everything, recent Mexican governments have implemented deliberate measures to address poverty directly. Multiple social support programs have been introduced, not only helping to lower poverty rates, but also strengthening the domestic market in Mexico. These efforts have played a key role in consolidating popular support for recent administrations. As I mentioned before, Mexico has a strong, well-established, and vibrant democracy. Recently, the country made history by electing its first female president, a milestone that fills us with pride. President Claudia Sheinbaum won 60% of the vote, demonstrating that a significant number of Mexican men also voted for her. Additionally, her party secured a majority in Congress and in most state governorships, enabling her and her party to push for constitutional reforms. The overwhelming support obtained in last summer elections has become an even stronger backing in the face of recent threats from the US. The Mexican people unequivocally support President Sheinbaum's stance, as she has repeatedly expressed her willingness to sit at the table to negotiate all sensitive issues and continue our collaboration, but always within a framework of mutual respect. These circumstances have had a direct impact on Mexican migration flows to the US, which before COVID were actually in negative numbers, in -1%, meaning that more Mexicans were returning to Mexico than migrating to the US. The pandemic reversed this dynamic into positive numbers, although still very low, only a positive 1%. After COVID, the extraordinary monetary injection that the US was able to make into its economy, thanks to its position as the world's dominant currency issuer, allowed Americans, unlike the rest of the world, to have liquidity to restart their economy. As a result, when lockdowns were lifted, the US economy rebounded sharply, creating a high demand for labor that was not met by its domestic market. This was due to both structural labor shortages that had accumulated over decades and the fact that a significant portion of the American workers chose not to return to the workforce, at least not immediately. Additionally, the effect of delayed migration, which did not occur naturally during the pandemic years, meant that migration flows to the US surged in the years following COVID. Another key factor has been the lack of resources to properly and effectively manage the southern border with Mexico. It is important to remember that this border facilitates the world's richest trade transit and supports a binational community of nearly 30 million people. The US-Mexico border is a source of wealth that has been wrongly vilified. What is needed is not to close it, but to manage it properly. It has become evident that the Department of Homeland Security has lacked the minimum resources necessary to carry out this task in recent years, a problem that directly depends on Congress. However, this legislative body has politicized the immigration issue to the point of inaction. Not only has Homeland Security been denied the minimum resources required to operate effectively, but the immigration framework in the US has not been updated in the past 40 years to meet the labor market needs of its economy. Let us not forget that every undocumented worker who enters the US finds a job and is employed by an economy that needs and incentivizes them greatly. Those who accuse these workers of being a burden on the economy are misleading. Undocumented workers demonstrably pay taxes, not only consumption and property taxes, but also income taxes, far more than what they receive in return in any form of benefits. Another myth is that these workers are largely criminals, an unfair and baseless accusation that is not supported by data. In fact, studies show that the crime rate among undocumented migrants is significantly lower than that of US citizens or documented migrants. The arrival of these immigrants has been highly present in the media in recent years. Recurrent scenes presenting the weakness of the border and the massive arrival of migrants from all over the world, as well as the awareness that many of them enter the country undocumented or under some form of asylum or immigration relief, have been exploited by political rhetoric that has clearly been effective. However, it is important to keep in mind that official figures do not indicate in any way that this constitutes an invasion. As you know, the US is a nation of immigrants, a nation that since its inception has benefited from the talent, the drive, and commitment of those who decide to leave their place of origin in search of a better life. Historical figures indicate that the percentage of the foreign-born population in the US has ranged between 14 and 16% since 1890, and that, in particular, the undocumented population has fluctuated between 4.2% and 3.8% over the last 30 years, reaching its peak of 4.2% in March of 2024. This is not an invasion. In fact, this ratio is smaller in Oklahoma. The undocumented migrant population in the state in 2019 was 2.3% of the population, around 90,000 people, smaller than the national rate and has not increased significantly in the last 5 years. In contrast, for example, Texas had 1.8 million undocumented migrants during the same year, accounting for 6% of its population. These numbers make sense as migrants go to where the labor market needs them, and Texas' economy has been growing a lot faster than others. The factors described have fostered a highly adverse environment toward migration. One of the most frequently heard arguments is that migration is welcome as long as those who arrive do so within the legal framework. The assertion that the US is a country of laws is widely used. It is understandable that this circumstance has led to an increase in cultural stress regarding migration. All nations have the right to protect their borders. More than that, they have the obligation to do so. However, the argument regarding the lack of legality in undocumented migration is weakened by the fact that the immigration framework simply does not offer alternatives. While the economy employs them, the IRS allows them to pay taxes, banks allow them to open bank accounts and acquire mortgages. Undocumented migrants can open businesses, and many of them, I know this firsthand, even employ US citizens, generating economic wealth and well-being that benefits society as a whole. Well, why then does a system of laws punish only the most vulnerable actor while overlooking the faults of others? That being said, the support of the Mexican government has been crucial in this regard, deploying significant resources and actions to contain the arrival of migrants. Mexico has done this to cooperate with the US, not as a result of its own policy decision. Stopping migrants is a very, very difficult task. It is important to note that encounters between undocumented migrants and CBP officers at the US southern border decreased by 78% between December of 2023, when they reached their peak, and December 2024. This drastic decline is the result of two factors: the cap to asylum claims and Mexico's cooperation in curbing migratory flows. It is worth remembering that the majority of migrants who arrived in recent years are not Mexican, around 80%. However, all of them transited through our country via migrant smuggling networks, which has had an impact on our communities. Lastly, I would like to briefly address the issue of illicit drug trafficking. In this regard, Mexico has been a committed ally as well, fighting this scourge for years by investing significant resources, implementing strategic measures, and most importantly, engaging in a direct battle that has cost the lives of tens of thousands of law enforcement agents confronting cartels and organized crime groups. These criminal organizations, in the vast majority of cases, are armed with high-caliber weapons purchased in the US and illegally smuggled into Mexico. Once again, the issue comes down to incentives. To the north, there exists a tremendously powerful market for these drugs, with their value increasing 1,000-fold between Sinaloa and major US cities. As long as demand and financial gain persist, dismantling this market will remain an immense challenge. Let us not forget that Mexico did not create the demand of these substances. It is widely known that several lawsuits have been filed by attorneys general in the US against big pharma companies for selling prescription drugs containing oxycodone for over a decade. Additionally, it is well documented that nearly 80% of fentanyl pills entering the US do so at the hands of American citizens. Once inside the US borders, it is worth asking, who distributes these drugs across a country 4 times larger than Mexico? Who sells them and launders the profits? The accusations against Mexico, labeling it as a bad ally or even as a failed state, conveniently overlook the fact that the US has also struggled to contain the problem within its own territory, yet it is not categorized in the same way. This is without a doubt a binational issue that must be addressed together as true allies through close collaboration, rather than through blame, which is neither fair nor an effective solution. So to close my presentation, time is limited, as we could spend hours discussing the highly complex binational reality and the intricate relations between Mexico and the United States. I have only touched on 2 or 3 aspects of this vast topic, but my intention, one I hope I have achieved, was to convey that our shared challenges go far beyond simplistic black and white interpretations aimed at assigning blame to one side or to the other. Instead, they represent a shared reality that we can address far more effectively as allies. Our proximity has historically fostered deep social and cultural ties, and today it serves as the foundation for a rich and dynamic economic and trade relationship, one that I hope will continue to strengthen, particularly in the current geopolitical landscape, for the benefit of both nations and our peoples. Thank you for your time and generosity in listening to me today.
Thank you, Council Pineda, for being with us today and sharing a very important perspective. And thank you for the work you do in our state.
Thank you, sir.
A book celebrating today's program will be presented to our partner in education, Celia Clinton Elementary. Today's book is My Mexico. Upcoming programs, next week we'll be visited by Brian Kurtz, President and CEO of Downtown Tulsa Partnership. The following week will be Ashley Braun, Assistant Professor in the Department of Health Promotion Sciences at the University of Oklahoma. And then will be Andy Scruto, owner of the Tulsa Oilers ice hockey team, the Oilers indoor football team, and the Wee Street Ice Center. Special thanks to gold sponsors, We Be Trees, Tim Knoll, Max Electric Supply, Jack McGlumphy, Coldwell Banker Select, Sherry Gardner, OK Ethics, Mary Lytle. Silver sponsors, Associated Mortgage Corporation, Chuck Wilson, Bank First, Paul Baumann and Bill Miller, Clear Ridge LLC, Matthew Bristow, Southern Millworks Incorporated, Bill Vogel, and bronze sponsors, Lewis Roofing, Kevin Lewis and Ken Freeman, Moore's Funeral Home, Joe Moore, Mr. Ed's Auction, Ed Vierheller, and Price Waterhouse Cooper, Daniel Simone, Kevin McManus. Committee meetings, long-range planning will meet today in room 2, after today's meeting in room 231. Above and Beyond Awards, room 232. Rotary Youth Exchange, room 233. Golden Circle Gala, Parker Hall. And Anti-Human Trafficking, Thomas Hall. On the subject of peace building among nations, the Caribbean Series is currently underway, which is an annual tournament among the best baseball clubs in Latin America. This year's participants come from Mexico, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic, with a special invite to the Tokyo Breeze of Japan. The tournament is being played in Mexicali, Mexico, near the border with California, and it's being broadcast on MLB Network. I encourage any baseball fan to tune in. The way that they play baseball in Mexico is quite entertaining, and I have enjoyed every minute of it. The individual star of this tournament, however, is Albert Pujols, who is managing the club for his native Dominican Republic. As I often like to do, I like to look beyond the accomplishments of these all-star players beyond the field. One of Albert Pujols' 5 children has Down syndrome, and he has devoted a large portion of his foundation's goodwill towards helping Down syndrome children and their family, primarily in the Dominican Republic and other impoverished areas of Latin America. I found a quote from Albert Pujols that exemplifies his commitment. He says, quote, "At the end of the day, when all is said and done playing this game, it doesn't matter what you did on the field. It's what you do off the field and the lives that you touched." Thank you for joining our meeting today. We're adjourned.